It's beautiful to hear about that because, yeah, it's I have no experience of that.
You have no grandchildren?
I don't have kids, no grandkids, and it's really fascinating watching someone you love grow into becoming someone else. Like you said, it was strange watching her do it. What are you noticing in her that feels that way?
Well, she's breastfeeding, which she'd never done before. That's one thing. You know, she's just seeing my daughter is very funny. All my kids are really funny. My daughter Katie is very funny. She's got a very strange sense of humor. She's an artist. She makes these funny ceramics. Her name is Katie Kimmel. You could see her on Instagram, and you will understand what I'm talking about. She does, like today she sent me, like I sent her a text this morning, and I said, "You're not posting enough pictures of the baby on the stream." And so she just posted a bunch of pictures of the baby screaming and crying. And the baby's wearing a onesie that says, "I'm 11 years old." So I know she's going to, she's not going to be a traditional mom, but just seeing her be a mom is it's just funny. I think it's like anything. Like when I try to remember how old I am, I don't know if you ever forget how old you are.
Yeah.
I have to remember how old my sister is and add 3 years. That's how I get to it. And just seeing my kids become adults, and both of my older kids are married, and like having to, pay rent and be a husband and a wife is weird. It's just weird, It's great, but it's weird.
Yeah, they obviously inherited your comedic gene, it sounds like.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as genius, but they are very funny, and they're just very good people, I think, more important. No, funny's more important. Let me rank it. Hold on a second. Yeah, funny definitely more important than good. But both important, super important, yeah.
What's a part of you that you didn't want them to inherit?
My nose. I didn't want my daughter to have my beard, for sure. My anxiety, maybe? Of course, kids, they inherit that whether you want them to or not. But I think anxiety, yeah. And I think like growing up without any money adds a measure of anxiety, but then you realize my older kids, I didn't have any money when they were growing up, and now my younger kids, I do. And it's interesting because they somehow manage to get to the anxiety, they find different paths to it. It has nothing, it turns out it doesn't, like for me, like when I was a kid, I loved to draw, I told you, I would get a set of pens for Christmas, and I would never want to use them because if I used them, they'd run out. And so I'd have these pens that I never used, and eventually they just dry out because we lived in Las Vegas. And what a terrible thing. So now, you know what I do? I buy a million art supplies, and the house is like a Dick Blick, my house is just full of these art supplies. And I know that I will not live long enough to use all this stuff, but knowing it's there makes me feel like I've conquered that anxiety in some way.
By hoarding.
By hoarding.
So the reason why anyone else can't get art supplies is Jimmy Kimmel.
That's right. Yes.
Walk me through what anxiety really feels like at this point now in your life, how your relationship with it's changed over that time, from going from being anxious about not having money, not having resources, not having a job,